Imagine. You wake up one morning, and the first sight you encounter is the silent chaos in your home. Clothes piled on a chair, dishes accumulated in the kitchen, dust ignored in neglected corners. You say, "I'll take care of it later," but that later never comes. Even knowing this, nothing stirs inside you. This is not about laziness, nor simple negligence. It's something deeper, a dialogue between your soul and the world around you that Carl Jung might call an unconscious conversation. Your home is a reflection of your mind. Every corner shows a part of your psychological state. When you choose not to clean, you are not avoiding dust or clutter. You are avoiding yourself, the aspects of yourself you do not want to face, and the thoughts trying to hide the emotional burdens of everyday life. Before moving on to the video, I want you to write this word in the comments, but genuinely, rebirth. Because cleaning, organizing, and healing is not just about tidying your environment, it is also an inner transformation. Write rebirth as an agreement with yourself. Each letter symbolizes a farewell to the past, to chaos, and to everything that no longer serves you. Post your comment and feel what it means to you. Do this with intention, not as a mundane task. Because when you write that word, your unconscious mind is activated. It opens doors to new energies, different ways of living, and fresh beginnings. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to see how many of us are ready for inner renewal. Write rebirth, and together let's ignite that fire which turns the unseen into life. Cleaning is not just about arranging things, it is about confronting the elements of your subconscious. Jung said the things we deny control us, while the things we accept transform us. If you dislike cleaning your home, perhaps it reflects something internal that needs order, structure, or light. For a moment, direct your attention to your room, not as a physical place, but as a symbolic mirror. The pile of folded clothes may represent postponed decisions, dirty dishes, conversations you avoid, dust, old fears, and anxieties you've unknowingly accumulated. Every object everywhere symbolizes a neglected thought. This is not about aesthetics but about psychic energy. Jung believed the unconscious expresses itself through symbols, and clutter is one of these symbols. Your home communicates with you, not in words, but in the language of the soul. Every corner whispers what your conscious mind tries to suppress, yet you walk by assuming the silence of these objects is harmless. There is a strange phenomenon in how we live with clutter. We justify it, normalize it, and even romanticize it. Yet deep down, we sense something is off because the mind seeks truth. When your surroundings are chaotic, your mind begins to reflect that chaos. The physical state becomes a symbol of mental state. Avoiding cleaning can be an unconscious act of rebellion. It is a way of saying, "I do not want to face my feelings." It is a quiet resistance to structure, control, and emotional responsibility, but also a sign of exhaustion, a trace of a self that has no energy left to balance its inner chaos. Carl Jung spoke of integrating all parts of the self, even the darkest ones, in the process of individuation. If you think about it, cleaning can symbolically be a path to individuation. Every dusting is a confrontation with a facet of your unconscious. Every reorganization gives form to your inner chaos. Every completed chore restores a part of your personal power. Yet, if you cannot manage it, if each attempt to clean overwhelms you, it is not mere procrastination but a misalignment between conscious mind and deep feelings. Your surroundings become a battlefield where suppressed emotions clash. You may think cleaning has no connection to your emotional state, but notice what happens when you finally take action. The process is actually psychologically relieving. With each movement of your hands, you feel as if you are releasing an inner burden. You realize that by cleaning your home, you are also cleansing your mind, making space for new thoughts, feelings, and versions of yourself, but still, you may continue to procrastinate. Because cleaning means sitting with yourself and allowing silence to speak, which is not easy, chaos acts as a shield for those afraid to look inward. It is a defense against inner emptiness. Your home reflects the state of your subconscious. If there is disorder outside, there is uncertainty inside. If there is order outside, there is clarity inside. Many people fail to understand that the transition to order is not coincidental when one is ready for life changes. The soul expresses itself through daily actions, and sometimes cleaning is a quiet desire for healing. Avoiding cleaning carries a hidden darkness, for chaos serves a function: it distances you from yourself. External noise silences the soul. But silence is not emptiness, it is illumination. True cleaning begins there, not with a cloth or broom, but with the courage to look within. Do you want to know what avoiding cleaning really means? It is not indifference, it is an internal struggle. Your subconscious is trying to tell you that there is something in your life not yet ready to be put in order, and until you resolve it, the dust will return. It doesn't matter how often you clean, until you organize your inner world, the mess will come back. A home does not dirty itself, the emotions, thoughts, fears, and shadows you carry do. This is what Jung wanted you to understand. Cleaning is healing, avoiding cleaning is running from yourself. Your home does not judge you, but it reflects you. Every neglected area symbolizes a part of your mind that needs attention. So the next time you say, "I don't feel like cleaning," pause. Don't see it as failure. See it as a message. Your soul is communicating with you through clutter. The only thing left is to decide how willing you are to listen. There is one undeniable truth: if your home is messy, your mind is messy too. The disturbing part begins here. Clutter does not appear simply because you are lazy, it exists because your subconscious is trying to tell you something. Carl Jung noted that every corner of the house is a suppressed symbol and that the soul communicates through daily life's cries. If you struggle with cleaning, it is not a coincidence, it stems from resistance. Your mind is still avoiding confronting what is painful. Because cleaning means facing, and facing means healing. Consider this: how many times have you said, "I'll do it tomorrow"? How often have you felt bad when seeing the mess but still did nothing? This repeated pattern is not laziness, but a mental defense mechanism. Your subconscious may create a distracting environment to protect you from confronting a deeper issue you might not even want to see. Modern psychology states that the external world reflects your mental state, while Jung developed a deeper perspective. He argued that the subconscious uses external symbols to express inner truth. Everything around you does not only reflect your mind but also manifests it physically. When your home is organized, you feel peace. When it is chaotic, your mind experiences disorder. This is not magic, it is an invisible connection between the inner and the outer. The most alarming part is that many people assume they need motivation and live for years in clutter, when what they truly need is inner peace. The real danger is not living in a messy house but becoming accustomed to it. By normalizing chaos, you normalize emotional imbalance. Your mind begins to say, "This is fine," while it actually screams, "I can't handle this anymore." This is where everything worsens. Persistent clutter is a form of unconscious control. When you cannot manage your feelings, you make physical changes to feel as if you have control. You toss things around, ignore the dishes, and the mess gives a false sense of ownership, while actually holding you captive. Meanwhile, something inside slowly begins to fade. That heavy feeling when entering your home, the unwillingness to look around, does not stem from fatigue but from your soul feeling trapped. This is your shadow interacting with objects. Carl Jung said the shadow is the part of ourselves we do not accept, things we have repressed, unresolved issues, shameful aspects. If you do not internalize these elements, you try to express them in other ways. Sometimes this occurs in dreams, sometimes in relationships, but it also manifests through your physical space. Your home becomes a symbolic theater presenting the silent plays of your subconscious. Observe the pattern. When you feel sad, your room darkens. When anxious, the clutter increases. When lost, everything appears chaotic. This is not a coincidence, it is your emotional energy finding a physical space. Here is the crucial point: the reason you cannot organize is not that you don't know how, but that you are not emotionally ready for the changes that order requires. Cleaning is not merely moving objects, it is removing old patterns within yourself. It is closing chapters, and your mind fears the emptiness left after the clutter of the past dissipates. This is why we always procrastinate, because the act of cleaning is also an act of letting go. And letting go hurts, not because of the objects, but because of what they represent. Every hidden item, every forgotten corner has a story attached, and touching it triggers feelings you have long avoided. This is the psychological trap. You think the problem is physical, but the battle is inside you. Here, Jung's paradox comes into play. What you do not clean outside begins to decay within. Hence, urgency emerges. How much longer will you live with the signs of your stagnation? How many more times will you say, "I'll do it later"? Dust accumulates on your intentions. Every day you postpone reinforces your subconscious message, "I cannot face this." And this message becomes your emotional reality. Change begins when you understand that cleaning is not a punishment but a transformation. It is turning the old into the new. The process of transforming chaos into order, of clarifying the unconscious, is the simplest and most sacred act. And the urgency is not for your house, it is for you. Because if you do not clean the place you live, think, and dream of, you remain a guest in your own mind. When speaking of the shadow, Jung did not only refer to darkness but to what we forget or neglect. Perhaps your home needs a conversation with yourself more than cleaning. Perhaps the dust in the corners is the echo of repressed feelings. Therefore, the next time you look at the mess and sense that invisible barrier, pause. Do not run. Do not judge yourself. Listen to what the silence of the space is trying to tell you, because that feeling holding you back is not laziness, it is fear. The fear of confronting yourself, left long ago. If you feel you lack the strength to clean, remember, you do not need to clean your entire house, just start from one corner. Because when the soul sees you take a step, it moves and transforms your past burdens into an energy that propels you forward. As you change, so does your environment, but when you decide to clean your surroundings, you will have changed too. This is the symmetry Jung described. The inner and outer always move together in the sacred dance we call life. You have often heard that cleaning your home is a discipline, responsibility, or good habit, but this is incorrect. The truth is far darker, more symbolic, and deeply psychological. The myth claims cleaning is an ordinary task with no profound meaning. But Jung argued the opposite, every seemingly simple action reflects the soul. The true cleaning occurs not in the physical world but in the subconscious. Dispelling this myth means seeing clutter from a different perspective. You can see it not as an enemy but as a messenger. Because clutter does not appear randomly. It is a way to show what your mind cannot express. When you lose your direction, your surroundings reflect your inner chaos. When your mind is full of blocked thoughts, your home overflows with items you do not know what to do with. The great societal mistake is assuming that external order creates internal balance. The truth is the opposite. Internal balance creates external order. If you try to clean without attention to your emotional state, the clutter becomes a reflection of what you do not understand. Jung's central message is clear: material things should be seen as the language of the soul, and the space you neglect, the home, is a living metaphor of your subconscious. Not cleaning does not mean rejecting order, it means not knowing how to cope with what order represents. Here is the reverse of traditional belief: you do not clean to feel good, you feel good to be able to clean. The effort to organize does not create mental calm allows you to organize. This distinction changes everything. When you understand it, clutter stops being an aesthetic problem and becomes an emotional map. Every neglected area represents an aspect of yourself awaiting attention. Your subconscious uses the physical as a symbolic mirror, and when you clean, you translate yourself from the language of chaos to the language of consciousness. Society may have taught you that cleaning is a duty, but according to Jung, it is a ritual of initiation. It is a method to confront the shadows appearing in daily life and give them space within yourself. Cleaning reshapes not only a space but also your relationship with yourself. The old belief says order makes you active. Jung's perspective asserts that order makes you conscious. The difference between these concepts is vast. One aims for productivity, the other seeks growth. Everything is interconnected. Dust, objects, space, and your mind, you cannot separate them anymore. You realize that your environment is not external to you but a reflection of you. Every swipe of a cloth is not just cleaning a surface but cleansing a symbol, which holds power. Being more organized is not about tidiness, it is about being more aware. The seemingly ordinary reason you resist cleaning your home actually carries a dark psychological depth. Your subconscious reminds you that real chaos is not in the objects but in what you avoid feeling. First, imagine observing your home as if through a stranger's eyes. You are not just seeing a messy living room, you are conducting a deep emotional examination. Your subconscious communicates with you through objects and corners, and everything is visible before you. The complexity you see is not coincidental, it reflects an inner state you do not want to acknowledge. Carl Jung noted that when logical language falls short, the soul expresses itself through symbols. Clutter is that symbol. Not cleaning is the body shouting what the mind cannot dare to say: I am overwhelmed, my pieces are on the floor, my connection is broken. Secondly, there is an unsettling psychological reality. You are trying to gain internal control over situations you cannot control externally. When your home is messy, the subconscious creates an emotional illusion of control. I don't have to deal with this right now, but this, right now, becomes permanent, and a simple postponement can turn into identity. Essentially, you acknowledge being unable to cope with emotional issues. Jung would call this identification with the shadow. You begin to believe your clutter defines you, and unconsciously, you defend it. Thirdly, clutter can be a form of resistance to imposed order. Not cleaning can become a silent act of rebellion. In your subconscious, order becomes a symbol of authority, discipline, and external control. If as a child you were expected to achieve too much or perceived order as an emotional obligation, your mind may automatically develop aversion. Thus, your home becomes a symbolic battlefield. You don't want to clean, you are resisting the effects of past oppression. Yet this battle has a cost, it can make you a prisoner of certain things from your past. Fourthly, there are deep elements revealed in the way you hoard items. Every unnecessary object you keep is an unresolved thought. Jung said that when the soul fears the emptiness of the moment, it tends to cling to the symbols of the past. Collecting items is like holding traces of your past self. An untouched drawer carries more than just old papers. It can harbor aspects of your identity you still do not dare to let go of, and the more you accumulate, the heavier the subconscious burden becomes. Therefore, cleaning is not just about getting rid of objects, it is about letting go of a part of yourself you no longer possess. Fifthly, there is a spiritual energy in the cleaning process that many people are unaware of. Every physical action is a small ritual of transformation. Washing dishes while listening to the sound of running water, the brush on the floor, opening windows to let in fresh air, all symbolize purification. Jung regarded water as an archetype of the subconscious, fluid, mutable, and healing. When you clean intentionally, you do not only organize your space but also reactivate the flow of your inner energy. That is why you feel lighter afterward. This is not magic, it is a restored state of balance. Sixthly, your surroundings influence your mind more than you can imagine. The shapes, colors, lighting, and sense of your home constantly affect your subconscious. If your space is cluttered, your brain stays on alert, produces cortisol, triggers anxiety, and tires you out. But when you organize the space, your mind relaxes. Suddenly, you can think clearly and breathe, and your creativity emerges. It is as if your subconscious says, "Now I can listen to you." That is why many people generate new ideas immediately after cleaning. This is not a coincidence but an energetic alignment between inside and outside. Seventhly, clutter also reveals your relationship with time. Jung argued that a fragmented mind is trapped in the past and future rather than living in the moment. If your home is filled with items from the past, it shows your mind is still there. If you never fully finish organizing, it may reveal your fears about the future. What happens after I organize everything? Cleaning is confronting the present, and the present requires being. That is why many people cry, laugh, or are flooded with memories while cleaning. They are returning to themselves. Eighthly, and most profoundly, you may not clean because you subconsciously believe you do not deserve a clean space. What you do not organize outside reflects your belief that you are undeserving inside. Jung spoke of the archetype of sabotage and the inner force that prevents you from experiencing what makes you feel good because your subconscious is still tied to pain. Not cleaning sends the message, I don't deserve beauty, peace, or clarity. Yet when you take a broom and decide to tidy even a small corner, you exercise your choices, affirm your self-worth, and remember that you deserve a peaceful living space. True power is seeing cleaning not merely as a household chore but as a psychological, symbolic, and spiritual act. Every physical movement reflects an inner change. Every space you organize represents a return to the center of your soul. Consider Laura, 33 years old. She has been living alone in a small City View apartment for 2 years. From the outside, everything seems normal. She works, pays her bills, and smiles when needed, but there is something unresolved inside her home and herself. She wakes up every morning determined to clean, yet something stops her. She makes herself a coffee and confronts the dirty dishes from yesterday, saying, I'll do it later. The day passes, and she enters the night with the same emotional fatigue, not physical, but spiritual. This is not laziness, it is an unseen incapacity. Carl Jung would immediately understand, Laura is not battling dust, but her shadow. The clutter in her home is a concrete reflection of emotions she avoids, an outward manifestation of inner chaos. First, the living room. It is filled with books and documents. She does not touch them because she fears what they represent, unfinished projects, incomplete dreams. Passing by the pile triggers guilt. Her subconscious, doing what it does best, hides the conflict behind a layer of excuse. I don't have time, it says, but the problem is not time, it is finding meaning. Second, the bed. Messy sheets and pillows scattered on the floor. Laura does not sleep well, not due to insomnia, but because her mind does not rest. A messy bed is a symbol of a soul constantly in struggle. Jung would say the subconscious attempts to balance the desire for rest with the reluctance to relinquish control. Sleeping amidst chaos is an emotional survival strategy. Third, the kitchen. Dirty dishes are not from forgetfulness but from resistance. They symbolize delayed conversations, repressed emotions, and experiences that are hard to process. In the symbolic language of the soul, food represents experiences. Cooking transforms them, but failing to clean means avoiding digesting them emotionally. What is not cleared externally becomes accumulated internally. Fourth, the wardrobe. Unused clothes, items from the past, and nearly empty perfumes remain. This is an emotional time capsule. Jung noted that attachment to physical remnants of the past reflects a fear of losing a part of oneself. Laura cannot let go of these clothes because they represent unresolved stages, past loves, and losses that, though gone, still exist as versions of her life. Fifth, the desk. Instead of order, there are scattered papers, cables, and once inspiring notes now covered in dust. The symbolic meaning here is destructive. Dust represents repressed thoughts, ideas the soul wants to express but reason blocks. The unconscious uses this dust to say, look, this is still unsaid. Sixth, the bathroom. The foggy mirror does not reflect her clearly. It is cracked and slightly dirty. Every time she looks, she quickly averts her gaze. She is not displeased with herself, but fears confronting someone she no longer recognizes. Jung would call this loss of self, the conscious self separated from the soul. Seventh, closed windows. The sun is shining outside, yet Laura keeps the curtains drawn. The unconscious does the same. When inner pain is unprocessed, one remains closed to the light. Jung stated that enlightenment does not occur by designing light figures but by making darkness conscious. Subscribe now, because his video is a call to deeper understanding of yourself and to transform yourself into the person you hide every day. If one of your sentences resonates with you, if you feel your story is also filled with dust and silence, like it. Enter the information this video needs to hear. Perhaps with the words, beautiful, along with the characteristics of a different story of home. Clicking on it will help this message reach more people seeking the same code, clarity, peace, and an inner awakening. Share, participate, comment, and add. This isn't just a psychology channel, it's a space that speaks to its brilliance.